Welcome back to Doug Addiction. It's been a long time. I know it's been definitely over a year since I've put up any content, so I thought it was about time. I'm going to give you guys a little update about how things are going, the whole ADHD process and meds and whatnot. And as you've noticed, I'm not alone.
No, you're not.
So this beauty beside me here, we've been friends for our entire lives. He goes by the stage name of, it's like Razzle Dazzle.
Raz.
Yeah.
Raz. So you're going to tell them your stage name too now?
Yeah, I decided my stage name is going to be DB. My friend Razzle here is, we're here because we started a podcast and we thought maybe this would be a good way to introduce it and promote it and tell you a little bit about it. Should we get into that maybe at the end?
Yeah, why don't you give them the update?
All right, sounds good. So I think my last update was like a year ago, maybe more than a year ago. I think I'll call this maybe my year and a half update since I've been on my ADHD med. I'm still on 54 milligrams of Concerta, which is the long-acting methylphenidate. The benefits that are still there, I'm finding work, staying organized, staying on task at work a lot better. When I'm in meetings, I don't find it so overwhelming. You know, all the sounds, all the people, all the talking. Pre-medicated meetings, it was just a shit show. It was just like, I don't know who's gonna talk next, and I forget what the last person said. God forbid I'm the guy who has to take notes at the meeting, because it's pretty much useless. In social situations too, I'm able just to kind of settle down and be a little more present with what's being said, and being able to collect my thoughts and kind of put together what I want to say in a more coherent manner. So I'm still getting those benefits. I would say I'm kind of experiencing that you kind of build up a tolerance for these meds, and I've kind of heard other people mentioning that I don't notice the same amount of effect as when I first started that dose, so I do think I've built up a bit of a tolerance. Another downside, I'd say, I do understand how they become a bit like habit forming, or maybe more so you get a dependence on it. So like, I take it most days, but on a day where for whatever reason, maybe I slept late.
Do you, when you miss, say, taking a dosage, do you have anxiety about not taking it, or you're just like, I'll get it the next time?
Like, it's not something you have to take daily, like an anxiety med.
Or like say like a beta blocker.
Yeah, or SSRI.
Not to cut you off.
No, hey, this is a conversation. You be quiet until we talk about the podcast.
Yeah.
You're just the eye candy. I could compare it. You're a caffeine person yourself, right? Mm-hmm. So like, you know, a day where, maybe you're really on a roll for drinking a lot of coffee. You know, every day you have maybe half a pot or whatever. And then you go a day without it, you feel those withdrawal symptoms, right? Headache, foggy, mm-hmm. You're not very sharp or focused.
Moody.
So kind of like that. So it's a stimulant, right? Like it's a couple molecules off from an amphetamine, really. So like, obviously there's going to be some withdrawal symptoms, but that kind of scares me, because I'm like, I do actually want to take a little break from it. And I'm like, maybe in the summer when I have some time off, but I'm just like, how bad is that gonna be,
I watched your video with like your wife and yourself, and you're doing an update and the changes there. I'm not on anything, but I suffer from ADHD.
He does?
I don't, so like sometimes when I'm talking, gathering my thoughts, that can sometimes really go away on me, and I struggle with that. But I kind of actually, us doing videos like this or podcasting has actually helped me with it, because it's training me to like, try to slow down my thinking, mm-hmm. and to kind of say things. So it's been in a way kind of like, cognitive behavior therapy. Yeah. So I was gonna go on to ask you, outside of taking the medication, do you have things like certain behavior things that you practice just to kind of stay on it too? So it's like, it's a working, not only are you taking the medication, but you're also doing like, trying to change like, your behavior.
Absolutely. One thing that, and I stick to it, I do it daily, for sure before bed, sometimes after work I'll do, or on my lunch break, I'll do meditation. And I actually started this, it's a hypnosis app for IBS and gut issues. I don't know if it's actually helped my gut at all, but like I used to go for hypnotherapy and I enjoyed it because when you come out of there, you're so relaxed. It's like you just had the best nap ever, right?
Yeah.
So I find doing meditation or hypnosis, it just calms my mind. Okay. Like before I do it, I kind of feel like everything's disorganized and everything's just kind of firing sporadically. But when you get into that settled state, you do some breathing, clear your mind, some visual imagery, like it's just like a reset. Yeah. It's like a natural drug, right?
Yeah.
Obviously I've given meds a good go and I might continue on them, but I'm also, I'm kind of flirting with the idea of trying to go med-free again. And if, anyone listening, watching the video here, has been on Concerta or similar med, if they want to just mention what it's like going off the med, because I'd be interested to hear about that too. It'd be a good conversation, because
yeah, that would be, because So how long have you been taking Concerta?
I think a year and a half.
Year and a half. Okay.
Yeah, and started 18 milligrams.
Now this might be a silly question, but is there, for the weaning off process, is there a weaning off process where you can just like take it and then see how you're doing? Is there like a protocol for that, or?
Good question. I would say, I think you can just stop, but I think it would be easier if you could taper off at a lower dose.
Yeah, because I think if you were doing it for like 6 months and you stop it, and now if you did a year and a half, that's a year and a half taking this, there's got to be some physiological changes when you just quit cold turkey.
When the drug first kicks in, and I remember watching this other fella's YouTube channel, and he talks about it, you feel this little, it's almost like a sense of euphoria for just a little bit as it's kicking in. But I guess, so like it's a time release tablet, but the outer layer, you get like a bigger dose. It's like 20% of it. And then the rest kind of comes throughout the day. That's ballpark. So anyhow, it kind of hits you and you're like, oh, you just feel like, okay, I'm ready to like tackle my day. I'm ready to do this and that. So when you don't have that, it is like someone just stole your coffee from you. It's interesting. I like the benefits. I don't like how dependent I kind of feel on it some days, though.
So what is Concerta itself when they talk about the long term for a person?
Concerta? Yeah.
Concerta. What did I say?
I don't know. Something stupid. People are on it for years,
Like I'm talking from a place of ignorance on this. So I don't know. I just know from him. So I guess I could, do my own studies, but why would I do that when I have him to tell me?
And also, like I said, it's a discussion. This is a community, like-minded people. If you have any info you want to share, feel free to comment. I do see a psychiatrist who specializes in this type of medication, right? Like that's the I have a GP, but I go to a psychiatrist for anxiety meds and my Concerta. In the evening when it wears off, I've noticed now more of a crash, and it's more like, you do feel a little more tired obviously, but it was also like an emotional, I'd feel kind of down, like kind of down in the dumps, and I wasn't sure if it was the fact that Concerta's wearing off or, just this year's been kind of tricky with kind of a stressful work environment. So I'm like, is that getting to me? I wasn't sure. And I talked to my doctor about that and he said that, that isn't typically whatchamacallit? I need a word here. Side effect.
It's working good. Yeah. It's working real good on him. He might need a quick hit.
Isn't usually caused by Concerta. When it wears off, you shouldn't feel down the dumps. However, you Google it, a lot of people comment in forums and whatnot that they do feel down in the dumps when it wears off. So, you know, it's hard to say. I don't know if my doctor probably hasn't tried it for himself. So it just seems like a natural consequence of, you know, being in an elevated state that wears off. You're not having that dopamine hit. So yeah, and that's also another reason why I'm thinking, you know, maybe I should try a more natural approach to
possibly, but also to counter the question you just asked. You know how like you have a good day, you have lots of laughs at work, and then sometimes you come home and now, you know, I can imagine only what like musicians would feel being surrounded by thousands of people and performing. Then you have this high and you're glowing in it, and then now you have a moment to be by yourself. You know, a lot of them, you know, well, we've seen history of some of the musicians couldn't handle that. And even if I have a great day, sometimes after that you come home and for whatever reason you find yourself a little bit down because it's quiet, you're thinking, it's like you're settling and you kind of like, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? And I wonder if that's just kind of a natural thing with it, because you feel so good with it that after it wears off, I don't know, that's a good thing.
Yeah, so that could be what it is. I don't know. As for one of the negative aspects of it, I think that's one of them. And if that's what's causing it, I think both of us throughout our lives here and there, we have ups and downs, right? You know, and sometimes it's anxiety, sometimes it's about a depression, but I don't think it's something I've experienced that regularly before, and it was always kind of late evening, like heading into bedtime.
Just for you being on it for like a year and a half since you've taken it, like you've always, like, I'm talking just from how I perceive you. You're kind of a chill guy, but I know you talked in the past about how you found yourself getting very like frustrated on things, were like a little bit short on things. So I would say what I notice is that just, you know, being your friend and all that, I noticed that you're more patient on things that in the past you might have not been.
Like on this med?
Just since you've been on this med. And it's, you know, talking to you and all that, like we all have our moments of whatever's happening, but I just noticed that like there's just little things. It's like you're a pretty patient guy, so it's hard to gauge that. But I would just say that since you've been on it, just some of you in our discussions over the phone and all that, you know, you seem to be, from my perspective, even more patient and more, you know, long as you have something on the phone to distract and bang on things and focus.
I'm notoriously loud and busy while I'm trying to talk to my very patient friend on the phone. And I do think it's because I feel less scattered and overwhelmed, because I think that would lead to my frustration, is I feel anxious, you know, because like everything, when I'm not on Concerta, I feel everything just seems so loud and so busy that I am shorter. Like I do have a shorter fuse and a shorter tolerance for frustration.
So would you, at this point, would you still recommend it for people that are kind of going through the same thing? After having a year and a half, would you still recommend it, that this is an option?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously not a healthcare professional. Yeah, I think everyone should kind of just decide on their own and through, you know, with a medical professional. But it's been overall for me a positive experience. And if anything, it'll just give you an idea of what meds can do, what it could be like. But, you know, I have another friend who was around the same time as me, but he was very hyperactive, like a blatantly ADHD dude. But he started meds and he liked them, and then he just found they weren't working for him, but it was more because of he couldn't sleep and wind down at the end of the day. So it didn't work for him, but I think people should investigate a number of different things. What I would say is try a few things before starting meds. I don't like adding anything like prescription meds to my body if I don't need them.
You've always been a person who likes to do kind of like the work, like you put in the work first before you would go to like maybe an option like that. So you're the type of person this was probably like a last kind of ditch thing that you kind of thought you needed to try, because you tentatively, and I know him, he tentatively does, the legwork on that before he would go to, say, like medication.
Like I said, things like meditation, exercise. I'm not myself if I can't move around and get the blood flowing. Like, again, just releases natural stress reducing hormones and neurotransmitters. It just keeps me centered and happy, and I sleep better. I find things like getting out and just getting some sunlight on your face and in your eyes. I even bought, for the long winter months here in Canada, we don't get a whole lot of sunshine, I bought a happy light, and I check my emails in the morning while I have this light shining in my eyes, and yeah, it helps boost your mood and sleep better. So like, lots of options out there. And also that combined with the meds helped me be successful, because if I say just live my life, and I was just being a piece of shit, living my life, like not getting enough sleep, eating garbage, not exercising.
And also, does having a variety of hobbies help that too? Because as a person who kind of goes through the same thing, I find if I have like a hobby outside of like even working out, it distracts you where you focus. Does that help?
Absolutely.
Surrounding with positive people probably would be helpful, right?
Yeah. Yeah. People who are patient with you. Yeah, music has just been my outlet for sure. Just if I can really get focused on that, because I play in a band, and when we're practicing, especially if some of the songs where I play drums and I sing, I can't think about anything else. Like, I am lost in that moment in the music, and it's just a great distraction. That little break from reality that isn't chemical break from reality.
Absolutely. It helps, man, getting away from the rigors of real life.
Okay, well, I guess we can have a little chat about the old podcast.
Yes.
If you folks have been enjoying the type of content we have here on Doug Addiction, even though I haven't put up any content in a while, I had a lot of things going on, and also we've started this collaboration. But if you're enjoying this, for all my friends out there who are neurodiverse, struggle with things like anxiety, depression, and also for the folks who are a little nerdy at heart, such as us, you might be interested in our podcast. So it's called Nerdodivergent X. And so we kind of get into similar things that we've been talking about actually in this episode, but also kind of branching out into our own little interests. And it's kind of just been a good experience to have some great conversations with my oldest friend, keep in touch and do something collaborative and creative together.
Well, it's been really good doing this, because as you were talking about dealing with, like, say, being on, say, your medication, we're dealing with ADHD, having like hobbies. So this is one of those hobbies, us collaborating together, talking about stuff we're passionate about, stuff that's like, important to us, like mental health, but also some of the nerdy stuff, like, say, Star Wars or whatever. If you're a piece of shit, you should like.
It was also just a chance for us to get a little bit nostalgic, and we're going to discuss a few things from maybe our favorite eras, and probably tell a few little embarrassing stories about ourselves.
Well, in our first episode, we do we do reveal some fun stuff, because the point of it is that I bet you a lot of you had interests that maybe not many people knew about, or you did things, as kids to keep yourself, occupied and entertained.
Yeah. So we share a few interests that we wouldn't necessarily divulge to everyone, but at this point in our lives, we don't really care.
You can find us we're still in the process of getting it up there, but you can find us on Spotify. You can find us on Google Podcasts, which I think Google Podcasts might be amalgamating with YouTube, but we'll sort that out. And we're on Heart Radio. And we have a website there that's... Not a website, email.
Email.
So if you want to contact us and directly, you can email us at Nerdodivergent X. And we always will put the links up.
X, what was the Gmail or?
Yeah, Gmail.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, you can email us at nerdodivergent@gmail.
No X, right?
Oh, X, yeah.
Is there an X? I don't know.
No, there's an X.
There is an X.
Yeah.
Nerdodivergentx@gmail.com.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
We figured we'd make it easy for you.
Yeah, we'll put some links in the description, so if we can figure out how, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I guess that's about it.
Well, thanks for having me on Doug Addiction. We've talked about having me on here a long time ago, so I'm pretty excited to be a part of it because I enjoyed what you've been doing so far, even though you haven't been active.
That's an understatement. But the comments have been getting, an update would be, are you still alive?
Yeah. So as you see, he's still alive.
Still kicking. I think that's a wrap for today. We'll likely have this piece of shit back on another podcast, another episode.
Yeah,
So anyhow, thanks for tuning in. Like and subscribe, and please check out our podcast, Nerdodivergent X. See you later.
Bye.